Welcome to a new video. I already did tons of videos about the Galaxy S23 Ultra, and now I want to check out if we can get more natural kind of colors into place and compare it with the Xperia Pro I and some other devices that I have here. So let's get started. So we jump right on in. The Galaxy S23 Ultra can take some amazing photos and pictures, but whenever I compare it with other devices, like for example Sony devices, like I compare it with the Xperia 1 Mark IV, for example, in carnival times, I noticed that it's like a little bit over sharpened, a bit too punchy colors and so on. And how can we fix this? And an really easy fix is just go into the more options in your camera and choose the Pro mode. This is one of the easiest fix ever, because then in the default settings the Pro mode doesn't do this over punching of colors, this over dramatizing of HDR and so on. And I want to check out if this Pro mode can fix all those issues, and I will take some photos here in the back. We'll compare it with the Xperia 1 Mark IV and so on, and the Pro I in this case. So let's check this out. Let's go back here to the place where I have this set up, and because it's raining outside, I would love to do it in the outside environment. I have something set up here with some of the toy cars and toy ranges that I've set up, and yeah, I will use a tripod for this one, so I will just simply build this thing here. I'm not sure if you can see me, but I will build this thing up here, and we'll take some pictures and put them in here, align this of course, and we'll try to show you the differences between taking a photo that I take with the normal mode and the Pro mode. So let me align this a little bit and maybe get a bit closer up, because I see it quite wide, and yeah, and maybe take out the other phones there a bit, line it up, maybe take another car that I have here to add a little bit more kind of colors in. So we have Neon Genesis Evangelion tweaked colors here, as you might see. And let's take a photo in Pro mode, and let's take a look how it will look like when I take a photo in the normal mode, and compare them also with other phones that I have lying here. Also the Vivo X90 Pro Plus that I have here with its size color mode, to see if we can get some more natural colors using the Galaxy S23 Ultra and its Pro mode. So let's check it out. So let's maybe check out first what we have here in terms of configuration options. So first of all, when we're in Pro mode, we have wide, ultra wide and tele and super tele here as various different options to switch the lenses. And you can see the wide option is quite wide enough, and it gives me the option to lock on the focus and the exposure. Then I have here white balance options, where I can tweak the white balance if I want to. I have the focus that I can set to manual or multi. I have the EV here, I have the shutter speed that I can set up, and I have the ISO that I can set up. These are quite sophisticated settings. I have metering modes that I can set up here. You can see they're not very friendly, because they don't say what this is even. So I can change it, and then it's saying matrix metering. And it's saying also why it's good and why it's bad. Then we have the option to choose the various different aspect ratios, and we can even choose 50 megapixel images. We can set up a self timer, we can set up the flash and some other options. Then we can set up here some things that contrast and colors and so on. We can punch this as much in as we want, which is, I think, a very cool and clever thing to do, to have this here as an option. Anyway, this is how we will shoot now, and we will compare them with some other phones, as well as, of course, the major difference between what we can see here in Pro mode and the photo mode. So here we have the photos. On the left, the S23 Ultra in its normal mode, and on the right, the Pro mode, always. So let's start off with the first picture, where you can see I photographed a scene that is pretty boring, but has some colors in here. And what we can see here on first glance is that we have a brighter exposure on the S23 Ultra for sure, and a bit of more punchy colors, especially the blue here is a bit more punchy, a bit more contrasty, and a bit more subtle, a bit more dull, and darker overall in the Pro mode. And when we check out, for example, Tux the Penguin here, what we can clearly see here is, yeah, it looks like it appears to be sharper on the S23 Ultra normal mode versus the Pro mode, where we also have a bit of boosted colors as well. And when we take a look at the darker places and areas, especially here in the background, for example, we can clearly see that it's using not only the brighter exposure, but also using some kind of algorithms to add sharpening to it, brightening things up, and this introduces a bit of noise, especially in the background. You can see a lot of noise, where on the Pro mode we don't have this noise. And we can also clearly see this sharpening applied on this cup as well, where we can see here clearly that it's sharpening the cup up, which is a bit of unnatural because, yeah, it doesn't look like this in nature. And the Pro mode keeps it soft, and this is much more closer to the reality that we have, because this blue here in the normal mode is definitely not the blue that I see with my own eyes. It's definitely closer to what the Pro mode is giving us here. So yes, you can get a bit more detail as it looks like, but it's just simply sharpness applied on the S23 Ultra versus the Pro mode, which keeps it more realistic for sure. Let's check out another photo where you have the normal photo here and the Pro mode here. Here you can see again dramatic differences. The basic dramatic difference that you can see is we have an overexposure in the window like it's supposed to be if you would take this with a normal camera, and we have a dramatic HDR effect on the normal mode. So that's the basic difference, but there's also brightening things up, so you can see that it's brightening up the Nova 10 Pro's backside here quite a lot, so you can see the camera ring, you can see the cameras, but it's also introducing a lot of noise that you can clearly see. In the Pro mode, we only get a glimpse of the main camera, not even the other ones, so we don't see them at all, but we don't have noise. So that's very interesting, I think. And also the rest here appears to be sharper than it should be when I'm holding like a phone here and it's focusing on this. Hopefully it focused on this, at least it gave me confirmation that it was focusing. So there we have like a major difference. When we look at the background here especially, it's smooth in the Pro mode and it's noisy as heck in the normal mode. So yes, you can also improve photos with the Pro mode if you know what you're doing. So don't take a shot like this against the bright window, otherwise you will end up with an underexposed photo. But of course you can correct this if you want to manually. And let's take a look at this, because this is also very interesting. This is a selfie, and in selfie mode we have the same kind of behavior. We have brightening things up on the S23 normal mode versus the Pro mode, which keeps it real. You can see the difference of my face, more yellow in my face and more natural kind of skin tone on my face, but also shadows, because I was like, yeah, not directly looking into the window, but the side was only illuminated, so the rest is like a bit dark. So yeah, I prefer the normal mode here, I have to say, because it's just getting a better exposure. But the more realistic photo is definitely done with the Pro mode. We can also see here dramatic the difference here in the background where I have my smartphone stands, where we can clearly see a lot more with the normal mode because it's brightening things up. But also we can clearly see a lot more noise, though in Pro mode we can also see that there is a lot of noise as well. That's just hidden in the shadows. And I think that this multi-exposure, maybe HDR effect that is used here on the S23 Ultra is cleaning this up a little bit. And when it comes to the face and the details on the face, yeah, it is a hit or miss, I would say. I think it is beautifying a little bit, sharpening things up a little bit in the normal mode, where on the Pro mode it is like, you can see how bright my eyes are here, which is a bit unnatural. It is kept more natural for sure, a bit more noisy, maybe not so sharp overall, but yeah, you have to decide which one you like better. But the cool thing is you have the possibility to decide. And the only thing that you have to do is go to the Pro mode on the S23 Ultra to get a more realistic kind of photo if you want to. And now let's go to this shot where we can clearly see, sorry, this is the Pro mode, this is the normal mode, where we can clearly see on first glance already we have still the overexposure on the Pro mode, so HDR is not kicking in, not doing its thing, where in normal mode we have it doing its thing, and we have also a bit of more sharpness. We can clearly see here that that I was focusing on, to be specific, I was focusing on this front tire, is completely unsharp here on the Pro mode, but in the normal mode it is sharp for some reason. So yes, we have a difference there for sure, but also more noisy on the S23 normal mode. So very, very interesting to see that. So a lot smoother in Pro mode, but not 100% sharp there. But in general less noisy. You can see also here the front window, lots and lots of noise going on and sharpening up things, and yeah, this is what we can see here clearly. And these are the differences on the S23 Ultra between the normal and the Pro mode. First of all, let's compare the Galaxy S23 Ultra with other phones. This one here on the right is the Xperia Pro I in its auto mode. We can see that the Xperia does the same as the Galaxy S23 Ultra and others do. They're brightening things up, they're keeping the highlights a little bit less, and yeah, the exposure is a lot brighter than all the rest of the things. But even when I compare the default with the default here, you can see the larger 1-inch size sensor is really doing its thing. Sharpness, noise, it's just simply on another level on the Xperia. So well done, Xperia. When I go now to the Pro mode on the S23 Ultra and the P mode, also Pro mode on the Pro I, you can see darker exposure, a lot darker actually on the Xperia Pro I. It is keeping a little bit more intact of the brightness here, so it's not overexposing so much. You can see a little bit more noise on the Xperia Pro I than on the Galaxy S23 Ultra. S23 Ultra might be here out of focus a little bit as well. And we see a better color, because the color of the little car is this kind of more towards reddish orange, so darker orange, and not this kind of towards yellowish brighter orange that we can see here on the S23 Ultra. So big difference there as well. And I think we see a little bit more sharpness, a little bit less smoothing here as well. And yeah, here definitely more sharpness on this of this back car here. And it's really astonishing what the Xperia Pro I can handle here and get out of this car in terms of sharpness. So this is the reference, I would say, because at least people saying it, and I can confirm it. The Xperia Pro I is the reference in terms of color accuracy and so on. Let's compare it with the ZTE Axon 40 Ultra, which is, I think, also pretty interesting. You can see the ZTE Axon 40 Ultra is doing a very bad job when it comes of color reproduction in its automatic mode. What was going on here? It's like everything, the yellow became orange, and the orange is like there's no shadows at all, and this is way too bright. It's brightening things up, but it's also changing it too much. Let's compare therefore the Pro mode here. You can see the Pro mode is doing a lot better. It is slightly a bit more overexposed than the Galaxy S23 Ultra here on the front. We can also see we have a slight different kind of photo view, photo length, because on the ZTE Axon 40 Ultra I'm using actually, I had to use, we can also see, I think from the other shot, this one is taken with the ultra wide angle at 24 millimeters that I punched in manually, which is basically a crop on this large 64 megapixel ultra wide angle. This one here, however, is taken with the 35 millimeter one, and therefore we have a little bit less sharpness here in front and more here. What we can see is it's pretty good. The color, I think, is more accurate than the S23 Ultra here. You can see the yellow is again yellow like it should be. When it comes to details and sharpness, it's better than the S23 Ultra for sure. We can see lots of more details. We can see also that the green is more right here, where it's a bit too bright actually here on the S23 Ultra. So yeah, we can see definitely that the ZTE Axon 40 Ultra also has a bit more accurate colors than the Galaxy S23 Ultra. Let's check out another phone. Let's go with the Vivo. Vivo is also always a good brand. Let's check it out. First of all, the which one is which one? Yeah, the darker one is the automatic one with Zeiss color mode, and you can see it's also not very accurate. It's a bit too reddish here, even though it got the yellow right. And the back one is also sharper, not as sharp as the ZTE or the Xperia. It might be also because it's using a large 1-inch sized sensor here, but a large aperture as well as the Xperia, for example, which also leads to things getting blurrier faster. Let's go to the Pro mode, which looks like this. You can see the highlight control is also not as well or good as all the other ones, so we have the same issue. A lot less sharp here. I think in terms of colors we see, yeah, they improved a bit because it got a bit brighter, but it's still, I think, a bit too blown, too punchy for me on the Vivo in this terms. We can see noise already creeping in, and this is a little bit disappointing, I have to say. I'm not sure why the Vivo is doing this. Actually, you can see a lot of noise going on here. It has a large sensor, it has a large aperture. Why all this noise? I really don't get it. I made even sure that I'm using the 1-inch size sensor, so I'm not sure what's going on here, why it is doing this. Maybe the Pro mode is brightening things up, where you can see everything is much brighter here on this side than on the S23 Ultra, which keeps it a little bit darker there. So yeah, there's a lot of noise going on the Vivo for some reason. So Vivo is also not doing so well with the colors, so I would put it in the same ballpark as the S23 Ultra here, to be completely honest. Now let's check out the Honor Magic 4 Ultimate maybe here, and we can see also doing a little bit not so well, I would say. I think the colors are maybe on the okayish kind of side, but yeah, let's check it out in the automatic mode. Yeah, sharpness is a little bit unequal. Almost also 1-inch size sensors also struggling here with the front being a little bit unsharp, but that's the usual kind of thing. It's also cropping in a little bit. Instead of 24, I think it's cropping to 27 millimeters, which is also a bit of a thing. And this is the Pro mode here. We can see, we have a lot of more overexposure here for some reason. So also struggling as the Vivo is doing, it's overexposing a little bit the things, and it's a lot less sharp. So we can see here completely overexposed. This is why we have also sadly even stronger colors than the S23 Ultra, which at least gets a nuance of orange here, where this is more towards yellow already. And also here the colors and noise levels are a bit creepy when you compare it here. Yes, it's a bit sharper than the S23 Ultra, but there's lots of more noise going on the Honor Magic 4 Ultimate. And in terms of colors, I think also too overexposed. I don't know what's wrong there, but this is not a good shot, to be completely honest. I like the automatic mode way better in this case. Now let's check out the Xiaomi 12S Ultra and their automatic mode, which is this one here. And then we have also their Leica Authentic mode. First of all, as the vibrant mode, too orange is clear. It has some kind of halo effect here. I'm not sure why. It's over sharpening things up. HDR is brightening things up a little bit. When we take a look at the Leica Authentic mode, we can see how it's really supposed to look like. We have a little bit more of overexposure here as well as on the S23 Ultra due to the 1-inch large sensor. It has a bit of less blur here in the front. This is not because it's sharpening up things than, for example, the Vivo X90 Pro Plus. It has the same sensor, but it's tweaking it differently and has a different lens. Like this has a slower lens, so we have a smaller aperture there. Yeah, and then we have, yeah, this here. What can I say? It's very comparative with the S23 Ultra, with same kind of blurriness going on, not really sharp, but more noise on the Xiaomi 12S Ultra for sure. The rest is very comparable to the S23 Ultra. It's also brightening things up for some reason here that I don't know why. So to be completely honest, in this particular test with this like close-up shots, in this dim lit situation with sun coming from the above here, from the window, I think that the S23 Ultra is not doing so bad. I would rate, however, in this kind of test, in this Pro mode kind of test, definitely the Xperia Pro I #1, because just look at this. It's just simply, it's having the same kind of thing. It's everything, first of all, sharp, which is interesting because of F2 probably. And colors accurate, and it's arguably less noisy than all the other ones in the Pro mode. And the only thing that comes very close to this one is, I think, the ZTE Axon 40 Ultra, which has also maybe a little bit muted colors here, but is also very, very close, very sharp and noise-free. And all the other ones have issues, including the S23 Ultra. But I would argue that the Vivo X90 Pro Plus would come next. Let's see. This is the, would come next, even though the colors are wrong on the Vivo. So yeah, it's also a bit noisier, definitely, than the Galaxy. Yes, I would give the S23 Ultra, in this case in Pro mode, the edge over the Vivo X90 Pro Plus. Though that doesn't mean that you have to throw away your Vivo X90 Pro Plus because it's so bad. It just doesn't say much, just that when you're using the Pro mode, you're not using RAW, where you can correct everything anyway. The S23 Ultra is performing a bit better than in Pro mode on the Vivo X90 Pro Plus, what the Vivo X90 Pro Plus can perform in terms of color accuracy and so on, which is a bit of surprising because the size color rating should, or the colors should do their thing, and they're sadly not really doing their thing. And I'm surprised about how bad the Vivo is. But the Vivo is then directly behind the S23 Ultra, and then I would choose, I think, it's a race between the Xiaomi 12S Ultra and the Honor Magic 4 Ultimate that are like the least when it comes to their quality here. Again, it's noisy. It is sharp enough, I would say. And the Honor Magic 4 Ultimate, very, very close to this one as well. So maybe the Honor Magic 4 Ultimate last place, and then the Xiaomi 12S Ultra slightly better than this. So what are your thoughts? Are you surprised by this kind of like test? Do you like this kind of test? I did already raw photo tests as well with certain devices. Do you want me to do raw tests and show you as well what can you get out of the S23 Ultra in comparison to the Xperia Pro I, Xiaomi 12S Ultra, and so on? Write it down in the comment section. That is basically everything for this little comparison here. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Until the next time. Bye.